Record. All right. So I don't know how I will kind of introduce this, but yeah, this is kind of a interview series with uh, welcome to Uncommunity. This is the interview series first episode with Suhas. So here we are after kind of long time. So Suhas, can you describe what the product for folks is and what you're doing the role there, and also kind of introduce yourself, what like your background and what are you doing?
Sure thing, sure thing. Thanks so much, Mohammed. I think good to connect after a long time. And thanks for starting this. I think good to hear about the initiative that you have at Uncommunity and looking forward to see how that grows. As for product folks, I think we started about a year ago. The idea there was can we get interesting product enthusiasts in the same room and help them grow together, early stage people meeting senior folks and learning from each other. Started off with one small event in Bangalore just about 14 months ago. But since I've done about 100 plus events across 7 cities, primarily offline pre-COVID. Um, in the last 3 months, now that everyone's been at home, we've also been in the transition of doing a lot more online events. These are webinars, these are product events, online workshops that we're doing, case studies that we're doing. Um, that has been the transition for the event side. Um, as far as I can say, I think since we had a lot more aspiring folks coming in early, we've built a bunch of things around this. One of them is called Learn PM with .me, which is essentially a curated set of resources for people looking to break into product management. So it's a roadmap of sorts with the best article that we found online from the best product thinkers across the globe. Um, so I think that people found that really useful for people looking to break in. Um, One common feedback we got from people who were using this resource was that, hey, it's a great learning experience for us, and given that everything is structured well, but once we learn from here, what next? How do we still break in? So the problem of breaking in was still there. So one idea that we are experimenting or have launched is called insurjo.club, which is an early stage APM program. So learning from curated set of resources online, but then when what we do is we help them map to APM opportunities. You're working full time in an APM opportunity. And then we have like a 12-week program, which is a learning and development program where we connect them to, senior leaders. Those are your mentors. And every week we have sessions with them. So these are not your traditional how do I write a PRD or how do I think like a product manager session, but more on a guidance, because once smart people get hired, they learn a lot on the job, but there are some things that probably they cannot talk to people within the org, or they want to see how do I grow. So when you talk to senior leaders outside, they don't have a bias within the company. They don't know you, they don't know the company. They're not there to comment, but they can share their
Mhm.
experience, and hopefully you learn something from there. So that's been the journey so far. Then being involved now, what we're trying to do is we have a mini conference coming up, so trying to scale away from just events. I think a lot more people doing that today, but hopefully what we want to do is hands-on workshops. So in October we should have our first hands-on workshop and a mini conference by in a couple of months again. So that's where we see that hopefully we'll be able to do something that adds more value to the ecosystem and everyone grows together. That's
Nice,
the small
nice.
journey with product folks.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So when you said learnpm.me or something like
Yeah,
APM, like is
yeah,
it core part of the product folks, or are you collaborating with someone else outside the product folks community to
got it.
make this happen?
Got it. So far, it's been within the community. So as we grow to multiple cities, I think a lot more people coming on board have some more time to devote to this. So when these ideas come up, there are 2 3 people within the community itself who pick up these as projects and try growing them within the community. So far, it's been within the community, but we're always open to any kind of partnerships and anything that helps the ecosystem. We just want to be involved right in the middle of it.
Okay, interesting, interesting. Also, like Suhas, like are there like I'm like not coming from the product manager or product management
Right,
background, right? So what are
right.
the other kind of like are you like get inspired by some other communities around the world which is related to product manager, or like what was the scene like? You started this from scratch, right? Like the
Right,
product folks, like you said, 14
right,
months ago, right? So
right, right,
walk me
right.
through your strategy, like you put
For sure.
together for your first meetup, and then
Mm-hmm.
you manage to grow it till like, like 100 plus meetups or
Yep,
till today.
yep, yep. Sure thing. Yeah, I think strategy in the retrospective, all I can think is, yeah, I think we just built on. There was no like like on paper strategy. I think it's just about keep going, figuring out things. That is probably, like, I'll be honest about it. I don't think we had a real strategy on paper. But what I
Mhm.
can say for inspiration bit is um, two communities that come to my mind. One of them is Mind the Product, which is product specific, and another one is Startup Grind. There are multiple great communities out there, but the reason we are more biased towards these two, why we get inspired by these, is they also have the offline first approach. Um, that is something that we also wanted to. I think the online community is super important. Component to an online community is super important, but we just felt that the bond comes much higher. And once people connect offline, um, you can always form these smaller groups. We don't believe in like a 25,000 member group. It definitely helps a lot of people, but we thought, could we try the harder way? And then once, now we've grown across numbers. If you have to compare numbers, even we've grown. So at some point of time where we think it's super important to keep these guys connected, we have WhatsApp groups, we have Slack channels. Yes, we want to close that loop, so help people stay connected. That's where we want to come, but we're still debating on whether that should be the first touch point. Because when it's online first, what we realized is the ratio of contributors, or contributors to lurkers, is very very high. So a lot of
Yep,
people
right.
just want to be there, and over time that reduces. So you would have noticed, I think a lot of people, it's easy to start communities online, but harder to actually sustain those. So at some point, yes, we will also grow these, but our approach has been different. So these are two communities I think have done a phenomenal job growing offline chapters across cities. Post COVID, things might be different. uh,
Yeah.
Not sure what's going to happen after this, but yeah, so far I think these two communities have been super super inspirational for us.
Yeah, I think it makes sense when you speak about your actual contributor and the lurkers, because when you have a
Hmm.
community of like 100,000, like
Yeah,
tomorrow if you go to a, like if you are working in a company, you are growing a community like say 100,000, and then
yeah,
only 2% of them is active contributor, then
yeah,
your management or the board will not be happy with you, right? Like, so
yeah,
you can't say it's 100,000 kind of plus people. So
yeah,
yeah, I think it makes sense. I think it like
yeah,
makes perfect
yeah,
sense.
yeah. I'll add on to that. Since you asked, okay, maybe a strategy. This is not proven, but I'll just share something that how we are thinking about it. We call it the Spartans 300. So for us, it is not about, like I mentioned earlier, it's not 10K, 25K, the number there. What we want is 300 engaged people, or at least 90% of this audience should be engaged. That is the number or the metric we want to achieve. So can we get to a stage where there are 300 active people at any point of time? If we can sustain that for a bit, then I'm 100% sure. And if we grow slow. For us,
Yeah.
it's not about that number. That is something that everyone internally knows, everyone agrees. First goal is 300 active people for 6 months. Can these people actually help each other grow? uh, for people who just want to be a part, there are a lot of other ways they can do this. There are tons of other communities. We don't want to go that route. And from there also, how we grow is very small. So once these 300, there's a minute we want to grow, we ask each one to invite one or two. So now that you've been a part, you feel a part of it, you will invite people who you think can add value. You know what the community is. Once you grow too fast, what happens is, if it's just number game, you can always add. We have 15,000, 16,000 people on a subscriber list. Send out an email to them, you can get 2,000 people in a day at least, right?
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. So that is the strategy that we're trying. I'll probably let you know if that works in a couple of months from now, but
Yeah,
yeah, that's something to explore.
excited to see like how what are the new things that you come up with. Yeah, nice. So
Absolutely.
tell me this, like I mean, I'm sure you have seen a lot of kind of buzzword of communities these days on internet.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
but like you need to actually put in the work when you are trying to build a community, right? Things don't
100%.
happen overnight. Like you said that, right? So for you to like, it's been like 14 months and now you are here, right?
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
like how do you kind of measure the health of a community? Like what is the health of community according to you?
Very interesting question. Uh, so for me personally, how I look at it is a number of people who can be helped. Like see, for us it's been volunteer driven. For us it's something from the external, everyone giving back to the community. So for us the numbers don't matter. Yes, numbers do help. I'll give you an example. Let's be very frank. uh, when I say I have so many engaged users, it does help me in the future in case I want to raise some sponsorship. Everyone needs some backing to grow. So that is definitely something that is on the cards, and I value that completely, not saying no. But internally how we value it is the number of people who could benefit from this. We haven't quantified it, but if you ask me, the health of the community should be measured in that sense. Because um, even with the topic that I told you earlier, idea is, if you can if you can start small, if you can remain small, but if you can solve a problem for your niche, then you can replicate it and grow. That is what we believe in. So if it's not working for 300, you can't expect it to work for 1000, 10,000. So you
Equally.
need to make it work. I'm not saying okay 10 is maybe too small a number. Figure out a number. 300 is a number maybe which we are comfortable with. Maybe that number can be 50 for a different niche. It can be 2000 for another niche. Figure out that it can be food lovers community might be a little more broad. Suppose it is people who play a very specific music instrument coming together. 50 is a great number for them.
Yeah.
So it depends on the type of community. Put a number to it. But I think it's very important to start small and easily. Like initially, when I'll tell you what we used to do. First time that I started the online thing, first 200 members, I knew them on a personal basis. Like I actually had an Excel sheet. Whenever someone
Yeah.
comes in, I actually just spent 5-10 minutes, not too long, but at least 5-10 minutes to understand. Okay, hey, what do you want from the community? Is this the right time? Or is there anything I can already do to connect you to someone who's
Right.
aspiring? Um, just share him. Like Learn PM with me came out like that. A lot of people asking you that, hey, how do I transition? Can you share a bunch? I used to share a set of resources. Then I just converted that. Now I just share that as a link.
Nice.
So small things, but I think it's very important to do things that don't scale initially. Keep things very, very natural between people. Over time, it will grow and grow slow. It's fine
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
for communities at least.
Yeah. Nice. So this is an okay. I'll have that question next, right?
Yeah,
So right. Let's say like now you're hosting an event tomorrow, like not tomorrow, of course I'm sure you are keeping some kind of backlog, like a 15
yeah,
days gap,
yeah,
so that
yeah,
you have enough time to prepare so that you get your
yeah,
audience, right? So how
yeah.
do you delegate your task between like the community, like people who are handling the product folks, like how, so
Got
what's
it.
what's your team size right now, like how does it work?
It's grown over time. I think we're over 20 folks now. We're in a transition phase, like I told you. I think from predominantly just offline chapters, we're transitioning to more structured online events. The events bit is moving online, and we have each of them picking up different projects within TPF. So we are in that transition. How we're looking at it, I can share that approach. So 7 chapters that were there offline, each of them picking up. So if they're getting into events, we've broken
Hmm.
it down into based on the series. So one of them is called Breaking into PM, which is for early stage folks, and this is essentially folk from Mumbai chapter plus another chapter coming together and doing it. Then our Chennai chapter folks are now running something called the Founder Stories. They've already interviewed 3 folks. They have a bunch of things coming up. Essentially, Chennai is a SaaS capital, right? So they
Yep.
want to do like 10 series with SaaS founders, understand how product building works from their perspective.
Hmm.
So I think structured events coming up, people who 2-3 communities coming together, who now run something called the product conversation, which is our version of a podcast, understanding journeys of product, very senior product managers, 10-15 years experience. And the other side, which you would have seen recently, where we are hosting um, pretty big names, that is called the product weekends, where we're hosting um, very interesting folks across growth, across senior product leaders, in a more of a deck plus Q&A format. So that's how we are structuring each of those chapters, coming and leading. So they already know a team, they worked with some people, either they come together and structured online events. Apart from these, now that events is becoming like a lot of people are doing online events, we want to differentiate ourselves there. So like I told you, one of them is coming up with a workshop format. That is something. Conference is something that's coming up. Apart from the entire events, now we have 2 3 people who are managing, say, learn PM with me becomes a functional. So events may be broken it down. Other than that, now we have like functional things. For example, Twitter or YouTube, etc., becomes functional. So 1 2 people each getting involved in handling these functions. And new initiatives. So learn PM with me version 2 coming up. So that becomes a new initiative again. So how we've broken it down, 2 3 people max handling it. More than that, um, I don't think more hands is a solution to anything. So when you have so many people, uh, 2 people can solve it. More people coming to it, it doesn't really solve the problem. It actually
It
adds
might
to
just
more.
become a noise, more noise.
Exactly, exactly. It becomes harder to manage. Although it's counterintuitive. Many people think, okay, more people things should move faster. It doesn't happen. Things actually move faster when you're in smaller teams. So that's how we're looking at it. So each of them, even the new members, we have a couple of new members joining in. They're picking up some interesting projects. I think product club is another idea that's coming up. 100 PMs is something we launched. So new, actually very new folks who are coming in, leading these projects. That's the best part. So they lead it end-to-end execution. I help wherever possible. Actually, just my role has been more on the guidance part now. So just try to help them wherever possible.
Yes. So is there a process? If someone says, okay, maybe from your Slack group, hey, I want to help
Yep.
you out.
Yep.
Do they fill out some kind of forms, or
So
you
yeah.
hey, no, okay, I think I'll just have a talk with you, and okay, you're in. What's
Initially yes, but now we structure where we send them out an email. So whoever reaches out via any channel, we send them out an email saying that, hey, these are different initiatives under TPF. We have a small brochure as well as an email. We send it out to them saying that, hey, these are things we do. Please could you write back to see which part of this would you like to get involved in, and how would you like to help, or if there are any new ideas that you've seen in other communities around the world that you're inspired by, and if you'd like to bring that to TPF, we'd be happy to help you. So we see that at least that brings one layer, like people who aren't so serious to give back, or that time they don't have but just want to be around, uh, most often do not respond. But for the folks who respond, we have a great chat with them. So once that is done, then now we have a structure in place where Abhay, who is our volunteer onboarding guy, actually handles a lot more things, but he essentially chats with these guys, sets up time, then tries figuring out, okay, this guy will go here, will go there. So we've got, over time we've got a structure. Initially nothing. I think this is only over the last few months, and most of these things I'm also learning on the go. Initially it was like, hey, interested, yeah, please come on board, tell me what you'd like to help with. Okay, you want to do that, for sure, go ahead. So we're trying to keep no barriers, but as long as you have interest, it's completely fine. You really don't have to have like a product background. uh, as long as you have that will to give back, the rest all we can figure out together.
interesting? Interesting. So, I've seen different things that you're doing. I think you also mentioned right now, right? From
Yeah.
Chennai chapters, we are doing some kind of product club
Yeah.
where,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like Chennai has becoming like that place in India where where do you work? I work at Fresh Desk. I like Freshworks or the other company,
Zoho
right?
Mafia. Zoho
Yeah,
or Freshworks.
Zoho or Freshworks. Yeah. So, like, I've seen different things that you are doing.
Right.
You have jobs, you have Launchpad, you have newsletter, you have Slacks, and
Yep.
then you launch mentorship, learn
Yep.
PM with me, different things, right? So,
Yeah.
how are those things decided? Like, do you look? I mean, do you make decisions of these as a do you look at the community as a product, uh,
Yep.
uh, or what? Like, how does it work?
Absolutely. I look at it in that sense exactly. And each of these initiatives are new experiments. So, what you see on front are probably the ones that are going through. Some of these, if you see, are static. So, learn PM with me, one time static, then you update it in a year or by year, based on when you have a resource or whenever someone has time to sit and update it. So, the static ones are fairly easy, which comes out from the community. Like I told you, learn PM, and so you came out from that. Dynamic are the ones where we think, okay, um, yeah, I mean, it's worth a shot because it's an experiment. It might have worked somewhere earlier, or someone would have come up with the idea, we would have found it useful, or something that sounds exciting. So happy to experiment. If it works, we give it a time frame that hey, let's go from 0 to X in this much time, and if it works, we continue with that. If it doesn't, like there are a bunch of new volunteers coming in, so we can maybe get one or two more to help out here. And to be honest, we're still figuring out. This is probably the way that's been working for us so far, but as it grows, maybe we need to get more structure. We're predominantly run only on WhatsApp right now. since
Yeah.
everyone is in very, very different places. But maybe we'll need to figure out more structure there. Like I mentioned, initially there was no structure even to onboarding. Now we have a structure in place. I think things evolve, but how we look at it is as a bunch of experiments, something that is fun to work on, something that benefits a lot of people, or even a small set of people. If you think it'll be useful, let's build it, let's test it. If it works, it works. We double down on it, get more people, get some resources, we figure out how to make it work. If it doesn't, it's not a problem, it's a learning. Maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe we just put it on hold and we think about it again later. But that's how we are looking at this entire game.
Right. Right. So like I heard about the 100 PMs, right? So
Yeah.
I saw what you're trying to do, like get
Yeah.
together, like maybe 100 most influential product managers from different
Yep.
companies, startups. So I'd love to hear like how you executed that and
Sure thing.
what that was, and like like is that, was that creating any kind of benefit for the
Yeah.
community?
Yeah. For sure. I'll walk you through that. I love how most of your questions are so tactical. I think this happened given your background, I guess. But I think I'm happy to share. So I think I'll be interested to even actually follow the series and see how other community builders are actually doing it. So
Okay.
good props to you. And
I just need to be like consistent, like trying to
yep,
get these things out once
yep,
in a while.
yes,
So
yes,
yeah,
yes.
let's see,
Please do.
let's see. Like fingers crossed. Like would love to take your help also to get other
Uh,
people to get interviewed. Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely happy to. As far as 100 p.m., the idea, to be honest, actually, the idea there, how it started was we were just brainstorming how do we get more diversity into this community. I think even at the job level, it is pretty skewed. That is something everyone agrees with. The idea for 100 p.m. stemmed out of there. We haven't reached there yet. It is probably just our first initiative in that direction. It might look like 100 product influencers, but that is not the idea. We've just released a list of 20, and the entire thing is crowdsourced right now. So we have over 400 nominations so far. We've just started by saying that who are the most common people that we've got on the list, and whoever we could reach out in the first phase. So we reached out to more folks as well. Uh, we don't, there's no ranking. So maybe in version 2 we'll probably bring out an upward system, we'll figure out what next. But here idea was, can we um, one was, yes, we were brainstorming on how to get the diversity in place. Another thing that we also commonly get asked is that in the Indian product ecosystem, who do you think is someone we should follow? So we think maybe when we reach a list of 50, 100, this is a great starting point for a lot of folks who want to break in, or for different opportunities. It can be very different thing, but hey, you can reach out. So one more thing that we're going to add on is an option on, hey, you can reach out to me for. We haven't done that yet, but maybe in version 2 what we want to do initially is just a list. Think of it as any other list that we've been building, but with folks who have actually been crowdsourced from the ecosystem itself. People who people recognize them. So there is no bias from our end, there is no ranking, there is no awards. Maybe awards we do at a later stage,
yeah,
but this is just 100 pm and 100 product folks. Like PMs is the name, but what we're trying to do, 100 product folks. So this doesn't have to be like a very senior person, as long as more people, as long as you're giving back to the ecosystem. This is a list that we're trying to curate for that. Over time, yes, like I mentioned, we want to add that how can I help you. That is one thing that we want to add. um, Hopefully once we hit the 50 mark, that's where at least the momentum keeps building, so that at least we have something in place. Then we keep adding on, building on more things to this thing. So I think one idea that we have in place is maybe mentorship or different ways. Like a lot of these guys want to give back to the ecosystem, but there's no structured way of doing it. So can product folks be that layer where gives them an opportunity to give back? um, Maybe mentorship could be one, could be the conference that we're doing, we could just do like an unconference, where each of them comes, shares something, a smaller scale, different idea that we have. But it's all about the execution. I think the idea is not novel. A lot of people would have had
yeah.
this idea, but
We just need the
thankfully.
execution and the
Yep.
consistency, I guess.
Yep. 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 So yeah, that's the idea with 100 PM so far.
Right. So, Suhas, tell me, like I've seen, like, I mean, very interesting things, conversations. I've been on some of the live sessions on YouTube. I mean, with product folks, right? Like to see, like, I'm kind of unexcited because, like, these are the people, like, you're trying to pick people who kind of, you're trying to pick people for sessions where the audience kind of thing, like where I also follow them and I know I can learn from them, right?
Yeah.
And there are like, I mean, I'm sure these are the reasons behind 100 pms also, right? So you trying to get people who are like kind of more vocal about what they do, and more vocal
Yep.
about they want to help, all those things, right? So
Yep.
I saw the sessions with Lenny, like Shreyas, and the
Yep.
most recent was, I think it was yesterday night, which
Yeah.
Rahul Vora from Superhuman, Human.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm 200% sure people loved it, right? Because
Yep.
they,
Great
like, people
feedback.
look like they're like gurus, right? So
Yep. Yep.
tell me what went into that, like from the moment of planning to the execution.
Sure.
And like was there like cold emailing of like
Yep.
someone cold emailed them, right? Or was it an
Yep.
introduction? Was it a reference? So and also for our audience, like any tips to
Yep.
crack such kind of great speakers for other people?
Sure thing. Sure thing. Happy to share that. Um, One clarification on the 100 PMs, the first 20 list might look like more skewed to the people who are active, because those are the top nominated. Because as long as you're active in the ecosystem, is where people are going to recognize.
Yeah.
But one thing you'll notice in the next 50, uh, there are people who have done great things. There are lesser nominations to it, but we got it again through referrals. So you'll see a lot of undiscovered. So our idea is not just the discovered ones. It's easy to start. So we've started there because
Yeah.
it's easy to start there. But as we reach the 100 mark, you'll see a lot more of these not so discovered people, but very interesting journey. And hopefully this gives them a platform to share. So maybe they haven't had that, thing, but they want to do it. So
Yeah,
I think
right,
that is
right.
one interest. Yeah, that is one
Yeah,
interesting
maybe
thing.
they're not on Twitter, right? So,
Yeah,
and they
exactly,
have done some
exactly,
great work in their company startup.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Yeah.
So that journey, on the other part, you're bang on. I think the idea there was lots to learn from these folks, and especially in the Indian product ecosystem, a lot of people follow them, but the best feedback is, okay, we're getting a chance to hear from them directly, learn something, the Q&A bit where we get to interact with them. So that has been the best learning. And all three have had like great insights that people have taken away. So the feedback has been phenomenal. The process, yes, you're right. I think for these, we have a couple of very interesting ones lined up as well. For these three, it's been cold, and I'll be honest, I think it's been I haven't been directly, I've been in the loop in all of them, but the first reach out has been from people in the community. I think shout out to Path, shout out to Utsav, to Adi. Actually, I shouldn't have taken name because everyone's doing it, but these are the guys who probably started it. The journey so far has been on them, but given that. Given that that is something that the community is really excited about, I think that is something that we might want to scale. So you'll see a lot of interesting things coming up on this line. The process, I could say, is um, start. I mean, we've come here after a year of doing these events, and one niche. So even though the name was product folks, if you see, for a year we've just been in product management. But the idea is product is not just product management, right? Within product there is product design, there is product growth, there is product analytics, a bunch of things, tech
Yeah.
that comes in. So as an ecosystem, eventually everyone wants the entire circle, but it's super important to start with one niche. So if you're starting off, if someone's starting off, uh, baseline is execute. you know you starting this one episode, uh, I'm sure the founder of Bevy will be on this series someday. I'll look forward to that as well. But
Yeah.
it's
Right,
not
right,
easy to
right.
get him on
Fingers
day
crossed.
one. If I said, yeah, I mean, like, there's so many people we still want to get here, and we know we'll get there, but there's just every stage that you get at. This is a general approach. I'm pretty sure and there are outliers to this. There are people who've just done 15 episodes, and they would have probably got the greatest names and reached the same stage. I'm just sharing you, this is the approach that we've had. Is it all builds up. Start with something that's in the reach or in the circle.
Hmm.
One thing that works, like you mentioned, is ask for a referral. Like, say you've reached out to someone, you've done, like an interaction, complete the session, but always ask for referral. That definitely counts strong. A lot of people are very open to cold emails. These were three that we've done so far with cold. Bunch more that we are in talks with, or we have just confirmed. I think the pipeline is on till November already, like October,
Oh,
November. Yeah, so some
that's
really
that's huge.
really interesting ones. Yeah, interesting ones coming up. I think we have a new logo launch coming up, so we're just waiting. Some of them are on hold for that. So as soon as the new logo launch is done, I think two more events should be live, and these are
Yes.
both someone that you've heard of. So
Uh,
really,
yes.
I'm excited about that. So I think it's just a matter of consistency and getting started. So just figure out the next order of magnitude. How I'd say that is, uh, think of it, when you need one speaker, think about only one, then try thinking of, add another zero. Okay, let's reach the 10 mark, then reach the 100 mark. In this, keep leveling up each. I think one thing, if I had to start over, what I would do different is try bringing the leveling up philosophy from, right, try getting better with each and every single episode. We didn't focus too much on that in the beginning. We were focusing on how do we get these chapters started in different cities, how do we do that. So maybe there, I think 5 6 months went into setting up different city chapters, and that is the challenge of offline. But if someone's starting online, never a better time today. Okay, yes, there are a lot of people doing it, and that might, you know what can I say? Can I put it in, it might put you off, saying that, hey, there's already so many people doing it,
People doing
should
it.
I just be another one? But you'd realize there's always a niche for everything that is still there. Not everything is covered, something that you're passionate about. And tell me how many people are consistent. You spoke about a newsletter. I can speak
Yeah.
of 100 things that we would have started. So
Yeah.
the baseline is, can you, if you're passionate about something, you will be consistent. So figure out that, it's fine not to continue something. You might start something else, that is something that you will go about. So whatever you find passion in, like Harry Stebbings is a great example, right? 5 years, 2000 plus 2500 plus episodes, that is not less at all. That is
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
And today I think he started a fund of his own. So for
Yeah.
young people, and when did he start? He
Oh,
started at the
I
age
didn't
of
know he
8.
was 24, but I like the moment I saw it was like,
Exactly,
wow, that's like,
exactly.
it's like, oh my God, that's
Yeah,
amazing, man. Like the moment
yeah,
I saw like he's 24 and started like he started when he was 19 or something. Oh, I didn't know this. Like kind of like surprised. Like
exactly, exactly.
amazing.
So yeah, and dude, like to be honest, like we're just a year old, so just imagine if we can keep up the consistency where we can be in 5 years from now. So it's all about that, it is about figuring out that niche. One doesn't work, second doesn't work, third will work. There will be one niche that you will be passionate about, where there are people, uh, and every niche grows. That is the best part of it. You might start with a niche, that niche will grow either vertically or horizontally, that will grow. So figure out, podcast might not be your thing, writing might be your thing, start with that.
Yeah,
Something else, building a product, you're a techie, build out a side project. You never know how things click. Or
yeah,
you don't even have to start anything, maybe just focus on your career if that is your thing. Or it can be a hobby,
yeah.
play a new sport, play something else. But yeah, I think that's what makes life really
Just
exciting.
start. Just start.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
So,
That's true.
so I follow this found like I'm sure you follow him also, the founder of Fast.
Fast.
Uh,
Dumb.
right? Yeah. So he keeps on saying this, like, what you have saved in draft or something, just cold email them. He actually met his co-founder with a kind of a cold email or something with an intro.
Oh, very interesting,
Uh,
very interesting.
yeah, he keeps on tweeting those things, right? Like whatever you have in your draft, just send it now. Like today's your time, because things like
Nice, nice.
magic happens when you send like email or when you do that thing when you or start something, right? So which is
Ex-
very amazing.
exactly, exactly.
So
And like I think Uncle Ariku says too, right? Like if you don't ask, yeah, if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So if you don't
yeah,
start, nothing is going to happen, right?
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, absolutely agree.
So as we are coming to end of it.
Yep.
So I have like two more questions. So like, what advice would you? I'm sure in the previous minutes we have given them, but like in particular, like, what advice would you give to someone who like want to build communities or start their own community? Like,
Um. Yeah, I think pretty much covered it in the previous bit. Not an advice, but my journey has been about that. So I think product focus is one that has grown a little larger, but I've been like unofficially, like I never called it community. I never realized it was maybe community building or community management. Maybe that is not the term in my head, but I've been involved with building very very niche things. Like at some point of time, I was running 3 accountability WhatsApp groups. Getting
mhm,
interesting people together. GrabChai, if you see, it's a similar model. Help one to one interesting people connect off the internet. Bunch of them that didn't even come forward. A small makers group. I was running the indie hackers Bangalore and chapter. I met a couple of very interesting folks through that. um, so I just think it's about finding your tribe. At the end of the day, even if you don't want to do it for someone, do it for yourself. you know Oftentimes we complain that, hey, college is the last time you can meet very interesting folks. Once work starts, you don't meet. Where do we meet interesting people? Where do I find a tech co-founder? These are questions all of us get asked, right? So build for yourself. Say that today. It actually, product folks started by that, right? So I wanted to meet interesting product people in the ecosystem. We did one small event in Bangalore, and now it's just a lot more people who found like a similar problem. They
Yeah,
joined the journey, and now they're meeting interesting people. So everyone comes together with a simple motive. So I'll keep it open, like in case you want to start something. Rafi, you and me could just, like, put out a post where you want to start something, just hit out to us, and then let's brainstorm. Like, it just takes like a 10-15 minute thing to help them just brainstorm whether how different ideas that we can just end of the 90% is the execution. Yeah,
yeah,
ideas. Everyone has the ideas that you have. Few people execute. So we'll help. I'm happy to help on that stage. Just putting it out there through this platform, that we could just create like a common ID, and anytime you want to start something, we're happy to connect you to folks in the same ecosystem, or just tell you people who have done something in the past so you can learn from their experience. You've met a bunch of communities. I've met a bunch of communities on the way. Even if not, we could help in any way that we are happy to help.
yep, definitely, definitely. Right. So, uh, yeah. Uh, so, yeah. I mean, if anyone wants help, like, so where can we reach out to you, Suhas? Can you drop your where can we reach out to you online?
I think Twitter is the best, at Motwani Suhas. That's my handle. Or email, that is suhas at theproductfolks.com. So either of it, just a message away. Happy to help.
Suhas, this is a like the final question
Uh-huh.
of this. So love to hear about a community that you are being kind of either part of, or you're not part of, but you keep hearing them about from any online platforms, right? So,
Uh-huh.
and you love them, right? You get inspired by them. So what's
Yeah.
that one community, and tell us like why you love it.
Sure thing. Been a part of it earlier, not paying for it right now, but I think Nomadlist and WIP are two things that I've been hearing. I think that's because the ecosystem that I am in. I think the maker ecosystem. I can't say I am completely in it because I do have a full-time job right now, but I think these are really interesting people that you meet through this. Um, and it's super useful the way they've built it. The way that is something that how I look up to build online communities in the future as well. um, these are two communities I can say off the top of my head, but within the Indian ecosystem also, a lot of product communities, a lot of growth communities, a lot of I could list down a bunch of them actually. Let me come back to you with a list in case.
Yep, yep.
These are just two off the top of my head, maybe because I've just been having a lot of maker conversations
Yeah,
lately.
so I'm
But
actually part of one of the community that you just mentioned. So
right, right,
yeah, I've
right,
been part of WIP work in progress. So Mark,
exactly.
like kind of a
Marco,
maker,
yeah.
is like
I think I
recommended
discovered
it.
it through you only. I think long back. I think once you tweeted about it
Yeah,
long back.
maybe,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
maybe back in when we met in Bangalore. But yeah,
Exactly.
it's the
Exactly.
great community, like the way that has kind of taken, and it was not
Yeah.
a paid community, right? For anyone who's
That
built,
back then.
yeah, this for anyone who's trying to build something, right?
Yeah.
Like you keep hearing like we need to make it paid, right?
Yeah.
We need to make money out of it. So I
Yeah.
think money should not be their first goal of whatever they're trying to do, right? If
Yep.
the moment the like money comes into it, it becomes bad, right? So you need
Yeah.
to figure out when things are free for you and for other people, so that they can
Yeah.
meet other people, and then maybe at the end of a line, when you think okay, it's a good time, then okay, go
Yeah.
ahead, like it will work, right? But the
Yeah.
first step should not be about money, and that's how I
Yeah.
guess Mark also figured out. Like I mean,
Yep.
he's done pretty good job at it. Like it's been I
Yeah.
think 2-3 years, and it's
Yeah.
been and it's not grown. Like I think you also mentioned
Yeah.
in one part where like it's not necessary to grow your community to like 25,000, 30,000 people, right?
Yep.
It's
Yep.
okay if you just have 300 people, amazing people. It's okay, right?
Exactly.
And that's the same thing
Thanks for
with
saying
Mark community, right? It's been thousands since like
that. Right.
approximately 900 to 1100 since last 3 years, right?
And that's a sweet number, right, for his thing. Yeah,
Exactly, and
yeah,
it's been working. It's a great
yeah.
community thing.
No, thanks for saying that. I think more people need to say that in the ecosystem, so that that brings more people to build it. And actually, now that I'm remembering a lot more names since you asked, I think for people who are working remote in India right now, I think remote Indian is great. Abhishek has been doing a great job. And speaking of monetary, like he's done it like out of passion throughout, for a year and a half, 2 years now. And over time, yes, you need to sustain a community. So free communities are great if there is someone backing it, but everyone needs to survive. So he's been doing a phenomenal job there. I think um, another one on the product side, I think Nachi is building product growth, Divakar is building um, creators of products. So they're doing a great job in India. These are all India focused. I think Ayush is building growth folks. That is phenomenal as well. Nanda has been helping with a lot of things there. Um, Paras is running community folks. He has a bunch of interesting people working with him there. I think Test Tribe is
Yeah,
another
I
one.
keep talking to him on a
Yeah,
WhatsApp, on
yeah,
Instagram,
yeah.
wherever. He's everywhere, so
Exactly, phenomenal stuff. I think bunch of Indian guys were doing. I think there are a lot of these tech communities also. I think Python, all these people. I think design communities, a lot of interesting design communities in India. Design up is one. So I think great community, whichever niche you're part of. Say you don't have the bandwidth to start your own community, definitely go out there and just be a part and contribute. All these communities that I mentioned will definitely want interesting folks to join them. Product folks, you're always welcome if that is your niche. But whichever niche you're in, there are a bunch of communities who need your help. To be honest, they need your help. So one cold email away or one message away, and a year later, never know.
yeah, you never know what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
And you grow like a product, folks, like a rocket ship, or you just shut your shop, right? I
But you learn a
mean,
lot. I think.
you learn
Yeah,
a lot. Like, you learn a lot.
yeah, yeah. And for us also, touch wood. I think it's just been a journey. I think we got lucky on the way. Thanks to everyone who supported. I think that's something that it becomes hard when you start taking names. I'm 100% sure I forgot a couple of more, and that becomes an issue.
Yeah,
But
and
like,
if they see this interview, they might just text you, "Hey, why did you
yeah.
take my name?"
No, I'm so sorry, guys. And this is like taking this opportunity to say thanks to each and every one of them who's been part of it, even in the past or currently building on it. And yeah, I think it's phenomenal. Thanks so much for all the support. Yep, taking this opportunity to say that once
Yeah.
again.
All right, that's our the first end of first episode. I am thank you, Suhas, for taking time.
Thanks so much, Rafi, for having me. I think
Yeah,
this
I
was
think
great chatting.
it's been a great journey, and I personally loved it. So like the moment I get time, like I've done several interviews, I'll put it out there for others
Awesome,
to see and read. Yeah,
perfect. Thanks so much again, Rafi. I think this is great. I'm looking forward to the other episodes as well.